Have you ever felt like a guest in your own home? Or perhaps a stranger in a world that moves just a little too fast? Does a single sharp word from a family member leave you feeling unsettled for hours? Or even days in this season of life? We often face quiet challenges like loneliness, changes in our health, or the heavy responsibility of caregiving. It is honest to admit that the world can feel overwhelming and our peace can feel fragile. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of this struggle long ago. He wrote that we have power over our minds, but not over outside events. He believed that recognizing this truth is exactly where we find our strength. Imagine a heavy storm outside your window. You cannot stop the rain, but you can decide to close the window and stay warm inside. This video explores the Quiet Gatekeeper Method. We will share practical principles and simple daily habits to help you stand guard at the entrance of your mind. I invite you to listen to these reflections as we build a small sanctuary of calm together. If you are ready to begin, type the words, "I protect my peace." I protect my peace. Step number 1. The power of the first second and the discipline of assent. The foundational principle of this practice is a concept the Stoics called the discipline of assent. To understand this, we must look at how the mind works. Every time something happens to you, your mind receives what the Stoics called an impression. An impression is like a first draft of reality. It is a raw thought or a sudden feeling that enters your head without your permission. For example, if someone speaks to you in a harsh tone, your first impression might be, "They are being mean to me." However, the Stoics taught that this impression is not a fact. It is only an invitation. Between the moment you receive an impression and the moment you react, there is a tiny, precious gap. In that gap, you have the power to give or withhold your assent. To assent means to agree. When you give your assent to a negative thought, you allow it to become your truth. But the Stoics believed that if you can master that first second, you can choose not to agree with the hurt. You can choose to stay calm. In our modern life, practicing this discipline has become incredibly difficult. We live in an era of instant reactions. Our phones buzz with notifications that demand our immediate attention. We are surrounded by news that is designed to make us feel angry or afraid the moment we see it. This constant stimulation has conditioned our nervous systems to be on high alert. For many of us, in our later years, this is especially taxing. After decades of life, our emotional patterns are deeply set. If we have spent 40 years reacting with hurt when we feel ignored, our brains have built a fast, automatic highway for that pain to travel on. We often react before we even realize we are upset. The world tells us that being authentic means expressing every feeling immediately, but the Stoics would say that reacting without thinking is not being authentic. It is being a puppet to your impulses. Let us look at a modern situation to illustrate this, as a way to see how it plays out in a quiet, everyday home. Imagine a woman named Margaret who has been married for over 40 years. Her husband has recently become more frail, and he is often frustrated by his own physical limitations. One morning, Margaret brings him his tea, but she accidentally forgets to bring the sugar. Her husband snaps at her, saying, "You never listen to me. Why is this so hard for you to remember?" In that 1 second, an impression floods Margaret's mind. The thought is, "After all I do for him, He is ungrateful and cruel. She feels a sharp sting in her chest. Her natural urge is to snap back or to go into another room and cry. The impression tells her that she has been harmed. However, Margaret can choose a different path by applying the wisdom of the Stoics. Instead of agreeing with the thought that she is a victim, she pauses. She looks at the anger as something separate from herself. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who faced constant betrayal and stress, often wrote about this exact struggle in his private journals. He noted that we are almost always more hurt by our own anger and grief than by the things that actually cause them. He wrote in his book, Meditations, the following words: "Remove the judgment, I am harmed," and the harm itself is removed. He did not mean that the husband's words were kind. He meant that the feeling of being harmed only exists if Margaret chooses to believe she is a victim. By withholding her assent, she keeps her peace. She realizes that her husband's words are a reflection of his own pain, not a reflection of her value. You can apply this same principle when you encounter other common struggles. If you feel a sense of betrayal because a friend has stopped calling as often as they used to, your mind might tell you, "I am being forgotten because I am no longer useful." This is an impression. You do not have to agree with it. Apply this when you are overthinking your health. When you feel a strange ache and your mind says, "This is the beginning of the end," remember that this thought is only an impression. It is not yet a reality. By standing at the gate of your mind, you prevent these fearful thoughts from taking root and stealing your joy. To make this practical for your daily life, I want to share a simple exercise you can do right now. It is called the 5-breath threshold. From this moment on, whenever you feel a surge of emotion, whether it is anger, sadness, or anxiety, commit yourself. Do not speak. Do not move. Simply count 5 very slow breaths. As you breathe, look at the thought that is trying to enter your mind. Imagine you are a gatekeeper standing at a beautiful garden. A stranger is at the gate, trying to bring in a bag of trash. That stranger is the negative thought. During those 5 breaths, you are simply looking at the stranger and saying, "You are not allowed to enter." Ask yourself 2 honest questions. First, is this thought a proven fact? Second, will agreeing with this thought make me a better person? If the answer is no, then let the thought go. You are not suppressing your feelings. You are simply choosing which ones are worthy of your energy. Practice this threshold for just 5 minutes each morning by remembering a difficult conversation from yesterday and replaying it with a 5-breath pause. Over time, you will find that the gap between the event and your reaction gets wider and wider. This is where your freedom lives. This is where your dignity remains untouched by the world. Please remember this truth as you go about your day. The world can take your comfort, it can take your health, and it can even take your status, but the world cannot take your assent unless you give it away. You are the only person who holds the key to your inner peace. You are the guardian of your own soul. When you master that first second, you master your life. If you are ready to stand guard over your mind today, please share your commitment with our community. Type the words, "I am the gatekeeper. I am the gatekeeper. I am the gatekeeper." Step number 2, releasing the weight of what if and the practice of loving your fate. The second pillar of our journey is a concept the Stoics called amor fati. This is a Latin phrase that translates to the love of fate. It is one of the most misunderstood and yet most powerful tools for finding peace in our later years. Loving your fate does not mean that you must like everything that has happened to you. It does not mean you must pretend that a failed marriage, a lost career, or a decline in your health was a happy event. Instead, amor fati is the art of accepting your life exactly as it has unfolded, without wishing for a single moment to be different. The Stoics believed that the past is like a finished book. Every word is already written. To spend today wishing you could rewrite yesterday is like trying to stop a river from flowing into the sea. It is an impossible task that only leaves you exhausted and bitter. When you practice the love of fate, you stop being a victim of your history, and you start becoming the master of your present. You choose to see every challenge, every mistake, and every hardship as a necessary part of the person you are today in our modern world. Applying this principle is incredibly difficult because we are surrounded by the illusion of endless choices. We look at social media or television, and we see people who seem to have made all the right moves. We are told that we are the authors of our own success, which sounds inspiring when we are young, but as we age, this idea can become a heavy burden. We start to look back at the crossroads of our lives, and we play a dangerous game called rétrospective, regret. We ask ourselves, what if I had taken that other job? What if I had been more patient with my spouse 30 years ago? What if I had looked after my body better when I was 30? In the modern era, we have more time than any generation before us to sit in the silence of our homes and dwell on these questions. This leads to a mental state where we are physically in the present, but our souls are trapped in a past that no longer exists. We carry the weight of it, like a backpack full of stones, and we wonder why we feel so tired at the end of the day. Let us look at a situation to illustrate this. A situation that many of us may recognize. Imagine a man named Robert. Robert is 68 years old and lives in a comfortable, quiet house. His children are grown and have moved to different states. They are busy with their own lives, their own careers, and their own children. Robert often sits in his favorite chair by the window, waiting for the phone to ring. When it does not ring, his mind begins to wander into the past. He remembers the times he worked late and missed his son's ball games. He remembers the arguments he had with his daughter when she was a teenager. He tells himself, if only I had been a better father, they would visit me more now. He blames himself for their distance. He looks at his life and sees a series of errors that he believes have led to his current loneliness. Robert is not loving his fate. He is fighting a war against the past, a war that he can never win. He is suffering not because of his children's absence, but because of his own judgment of his past self. This is where the wisdom of Seneca can bring us great comfort. Seneca was a man who experienced the heights of power and the depths of exile. He understood that the human mind tends to torture itself with things that are out of its reach. He taught that we must cultivate a radical sense of presence. Seneca wrote these words in his letters, which remain as true today as they were 2,000 years ago. Two things must be rooted out: the fear of future suffering and the memory of past suffering. For the latter no longer concerns me, and the former concerns me not yet. Seneca's point was simple but profound. The past, no matter how painful or full of mistakes, no longer concerns you because it has no physical reality. It exists only as a shadow in your memory. By grieving over what you should have done, you are wasting the only thing you truly possess, which is this very moment. When Robert realizes this, he can stop blaming himself. He can accept that he did the best he could with the knowledge he had at the time. He can love his fate, including the mistakes, because those mistakes are part of the story that makes him human. You can apply this principle when you are facing other common struggles in this stage of life. Perhaps you are dealing with a sense of betrayal, perhaps from a friend or a business partner who let you down years ago. Amor Fati asks you to stop asking why they did it and to start accepting that it happened. It was a necessary part of the landscape of your life. Apply this when you feel regret about your health. Instead of saying, "I should have exercised more when I was younger," sigh, "This is my body today, and I will care for it with kindness right now." Apply this when you feel you have lost your status or your position in the world. Your past roles were chapters in a book that has now turned a new page. By letting go of the previous chapters, you find the freedom to read the one you are in. To help you release this weight, I invite you to perform a specific practice called the Sunset Review. This is an exercise you can do this evening. Just as the sun begins to fade, set aside 10 minutes for yourself. Sit quietly and identify one specific regret that has been weighing on your mind. It could be a word spoken in anger, a missed opportunity, or a choice you wish you could take back. Close your eyes and visualize that regret as a physical object, perhaps a heavy stone or a faded photograph. Mentally place that object into a small, sturdy box. In your mind, imagine walking to the edge of a great, calm ocean or a deep forest. Visualize yourself handing that box back to the universe. Say to yourself, "This no longer belongs to me. It belongs to the past. It belongs to the story of the world." Then, take a deep breath and turn away from that ocean. Walk back into your present life, feeling the lightness in your shoulders. This practice is not about forgetting. It is about returning the past to where it belongs. You are acknowledging that you are not the person you were 20 years ago. You are someone new, someone who has gained wisdom through every one of those experiences, whatever your faith or your background. There is a deep peace in realizing that the universe has a way of unfolding that we do not always understand. Your life is not a series of mistakes. It is a journey that has brought you to this very second. And in this second, you are exactly where you need to be. When you stop fighting against the past, you find that you have a tremendous amount of energy to invest in the people and the things that are right in front of you. You stop being a guest in a house of memories, and you become the owner of your current day. You begin to see that even the hard parts of your life were seeds that grew into the resilience you have today. You are strong because you endured. You are wise because you learned. You are here. And that is enough. If you are ready to let go of the weight of what if and accept your journey with a peaceful heart, please share that intention with us. Type the words, "I accept what is. I accept what is. I accept what is." Step number 3. Building the inner citadel and reclaiming your self-worth. The third pillar of our journey is the concept of the inner citadel. The Stoics believed that every human being possesses an internal fortress that no army, no government, and no social change can ever conquer. This fortress is built from your character, or what the Stoics called virtue. In their view, your worth has nothing to do with your bank account, your job title, or how many people know your name. Instead, your worth is found in your ability to act with kindness, honesty, and courage, regardless of your circumstances. They taught that while the world can take away your possessions or your status, it can never take away your choice to be a good person. This internal wealth is the only thing we truly own. When you realize that your dignity is rooted in your character rather than in the opinions of others, you become truly invincible. You stop looking for validation from a world that is often distracted, and you start finding it within your own soul. In our modern life, maintaining this sense of worth is remarkably difficult. We live in a society that worships youth, productivity, and visibility. For many of us who have reached the age of retirement or who are dealing with health challenges, the world can start to feel like it is moving on without us. You may have spent 40 years being the person everyone relied on at work, or the person who held the entire family together. When those roles change, it is natural to feel a sense of loss, or even a loss of identity. We are often treated as invisible by younger generations who are caught up in the speed of their own lives. We might feel that because we are no longer producing something in a traditional sense, our value has diminished. The modern world tells us that to be seen is to be important, but the Stoics would argue that to be seen by yourself, with a clear and honest conscience, is the only importance that lasts. Let us look at an illustration of this feeling in a situation that is all too common today. Imagine a woman named Evelyn, who is 70 years old. She is attending a large family gathering, or perhaps a neighborhood event. As she sits at the table, she notices that the younger people around her are talking over her. They are discussing technology, trends, or people she does not know. And whenever she tries to contribute a piece of wisdom or a story, the conversation quickly shifts away. Evelyn begins to feel a cold sense of irrelevance. She starts to think, I am just an old woman in the corner. My voice no longer matters. She feels a sting of hurt and a desire to withdraw into herself. In this moment, her self-worth is being dictated by the social dynamics of the room. She is allowing the behavior of others to define her value. This is exactly where the wisdom of Epictetus can transform our perspective. Epictetus is a unique figure in history because he was born into slavery. He lived much of his life with a physical disability and had no social status whatsoever in the eyes of the Roman Empire. Yet, he was one of the freest men who ever lived, because he realized that his masters could chain his leg, but they could never chain his mind. He taught his students that dignity is a choice, not a gift from others. Epictetus famously said, "No one can hurt you unless you allow them to. You are only hurt the moment you believe yourself to be." He was not suggesting that people are not sometimes rude or unkind. He was saying that their rudeness is a reflection of their own character, not yours. When Evelyn remembers this, she can sit at that table with her head held high. She does not need the younger people to acknowledge her to know she has value. Her worth is held within her own citadel, safe and untouched by the noise of the room. You can apply this principle when you are facing some of the deeper pains of later life. Apply this when you feel betrayed by a friend or a family member who has not stood by you. Their betrayal is a flaw in their character, but it does not diminish your goodness. Apply this when you are overthinking your legacy or wondering if you have done enough in your life. Your legacy is not a statue or a name on a building. It is the integrity you show in this very hour. Whether you are a person of a specific faith or someone who finds meaning in the quiet rhythms of nature, There is a profound peace in knowing that your soul has a private room where no one else's opinion is allowed to enter. You are the only person who can decide if you are a person of value, to help you reinforce your inner citadel. I want to give you a simple daily practice called the Morning Dignity Scan. This will take you only 3 minutes each morning before you even get out of bed. As you wake up and feel the day beginning, do not reach for your phone or start worrying about your to-do list. Instead, close your eyes and identify 3 specific values that you commit to upholding today. You might choose patience, honesty, and kindness. Or perhaps you choose resilience, curiosity, and grace. Spend 1 minute on each value. Visualize a situation you might face today where that value will be tested. Imagine yourself acting with dignity in that moment, regardless of how others treat you. By doing this, you are reminding yourself that your goal for the day is not to be successful, liked, or noticed. Your goal is to be the person you have chosen to be. You are building your wealth before the world even has a chance to speak to you. When you eventually get out of bed, you are not walking out into the world looking for scraps of validation. You are walking out as a person who is already full. You are walking out as the master of your own fortress. This practice creates a shield of calm around you that lasts until the sun goes down. Remember this as you move through your week. Your life experience, your stories, and your character are treasures that cannot be inflated or erased by the changing winds of society. You are a person of immense dignity because you are a person who chooses to do what is right. Your gray hair is a crown of experience, and your quiet presence is a gift to the world. Whether the world realizes it or not, stay centered in your citadel. If you are ready to reclaim your worth from the opinions of others and find your strength within, please let us know. Type the words, "My worth is within. My worth is within. My worth is within." Step number 4. Special applications for the most difficult moments of life. We have explored the foundations of the Stoic mind. But philosophy is only truly tested when the storms of life begin to howl. It is easy to remain calm when the sun is shining and our family is at peace. It is much harder when we face the sharp sting of betrayal from a longtime friend, or when we receive a piece of health news that makes our heart race with fear. These are the moments when we must move from theory to action. These are the moments when the quiet gatekeeper must stand strongest. Let us look at how to apply these ancient principles to the very real and painful situations we face in our later years. The first situation we must address is the pain of feeling betrayed or abandoned by someone we have known for years. As we age, our circle of friends often changes. Sometimes, a person we have trusted for decades drifts away. Or perhaps they say something behind our backs that cuts deep into our hearts. The natural human reaction is to feel a sense of outrage. We think, after all the years I spent supporting them, how could they treat me this way? We feel that their betrayal is a direct reflection of our value. We start to wonder if we ever truly knew them, and we allow their actions to poison our current happiness. This sense of betrayal is a heavy weight that can lead to months of bitterness and overthinking. The Stoic principle for this situation is to recognize that every person acts based on their own limited perspective. When someone betrays you or acts unkindly, the Stoics believed that they are essentially misinformed about what is truly good. They are operating under a cloud of their own confusion, greed, or fear. Their actions are a statement about their own character, not yours. If a person chooses to be dishonest or unfaithful, they are the ones who have lost something precious, which is their integrity. You, on the other hand, have lost nothing of your internal worth. Your virtue remains intact. Imagine a situation to illustrate this. You have a friend of 30 years named Susan. You have shared countless meals, helped each other through family crises, and watched your children grow up together. Recently, you discovered that Susan has been spreading a private secret of yours to others in your community. The shock is devastating. You feel a sense of coldness in your chest. You want to call her and scream. Or perhaps you want to never speak to anyone again. You feel that your history has been erased by this one act of disloyalty. You feel small and exposed. In this moment, apply the misinformed observer perspective. Instead of seeing Susan as a villain who has destroyed your worth, try to see her as a person who has made a mistake in her own judgment. Perhaps she was looking for attention, or perhaps she did not realize the weight of her words. Regardless of her reason, her choice to speak belongs to her. It sits on her side of the gate. Epictetus, the teacher who lived much of his life as a slave, understood the complexities of human relationships better than most. He taught his students that every matter has two handles. One handle is the one that allows you to carry the burden, and the other handle is the one that will break. He wrote these words: "Everything has two handles, one by which it may be borne, and another by which it may not. If your brother or friend acts unjustly, do not lay hold of the act by the handle of his injustice, for that is the handle which will not bear it. But lay hold of it rather by the handle that he is your brother, that he was brought up with you. And then you will lay hold of it by the handle that will bear it." By choosing the handle of understanding, you are not saying that what Susan did was right. You are simply choosing the handle that allows you to carry your peace. You realize that your value as a human being does not depend on Susan's ability to keep a secret. You are still the same person of integrity you were yesterday. By refusing to let her actions dictate your internal state, you remain free. Apply this when you feel a sense of betrayal in your marriage or a deep disappointment in your adult children. Their choices are theirs to carry. Your peace is yours to protect. The second special application concerns the overwhelming fear that comes with health anxiety or overthinking a medical diagnosis. As we navigate our 60s, 70s, and beyond, our bodies inevitably change. We may find ourselves waiting for lab results, sitting in quiet doctors' offices, or dealing with chronic pain that was not there 10 years ago. It is incredibly easy to let the mind spiral into the future. We see a slightly elevated number on a report, T, and our mind immediately jumps to the worst-case scenario. We start imagining a life of disability, the burden we might become to our families, or the end of our independence. This overthinking is like a fire that consumes our present energy, leaving us with nothing but ashes of anxiety. The Stoic principle for this is the hourglass filter. The Stoics were masters of the present moment. They understood that the future is a vast ocean that we cannot control, and the past is a land that no longer exists. All we truly have is the tiny neck of the hourglass, where the grains of sand pass through one by one. Anxiety happens when we try to look at the pile of sand at the bottom or the heavy weight of the sand at the top. Peace happens when we focus only on the single grain passing through the neck right now. Imagine you are sitting at your kitchen table, looking at a medical report that has a few red marks on it. Your heart begins to thud in your chest. Your mind is already a month into the future, picturing surgeries and long recoveries. You are no longer in your kitchen. You are in a future of your own making. And it is a terrifying place to be. You are suffering from things that have not happened and may never happen. In this moment, enter the hourglass filter. Bring your attention back to the chair you are sitting in. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor. Look at the light coming through the window. Remind yourself that at this very second, you are breathing. At this very second, you are safe. Marcus Aurelius, who dealt with illness and the physical toll of leading an empire, frequently reminded himself of this. He wrote in his journal, "It is not the future or the past that weighs you down, but always the present." He understood that the present moment is a very small thing. It is manageable. You can survive for 1 minute. You can survive this one breath. When you focus only on the grain of sand passing through the neck, you realize that you do not have to solve the problems of next month today. You only have to decide how to respond to this moment. Do you need to call the doctor for clarification? Then do that calmly. Do you need to follow a specific diet today? Then eat this one meal with intention. By narrowing your focus, you starve the fire of anxiety. You regain a sense of control over your own life. Apply this. Whenever you feel overwhelmed by the news of the world or the complexities of your family's lives, focus on what is right in front of you. Focus on the next right step. To help you practice these applications, I want to give you 2 small exercises. When you feel betrayed, practice the 5-minute compassion. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Sit quietly and think of the person who hurt you. Instead of focusing on the hurt, try to imagine the confusion or the fear they must have felt to act that way. Do not judge them. Just observe them as a flawed human being, much like ourselves. Then, when the timer ends, tell yourself that it is their burden to carry, not mine, and walk away. For health anxiety, use the breath-counting reset. Whenever your mind starts to spiral into the future, stop what you are doing. Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. And breathe out for a count of 4. Do this 4 times. As you do, say to yourself, I am here, in the now. The future is an imagination. The present is the only reality. This simple act of grounding your body brings your mind back into the sanctuary of the present. You are much stronger than your fears. You have survived every difficult day of your life so far, and you have the tools to survive this one too. Your peace is a fortress, and you are the one who decides who is allowed to enter. By practicing these special applications, you are not just studying philosophy, you are living it. You are becoming a person of unshakable stability in an uncertain world. If you are ready to focus on the present and let go of the pain of betrayal or the fear of the future, please let us know. Type the words, I choose my focus, I choose my focus, I choose my focus. Step number 5. The 7-day Quiet Gatekeeper Plan. The principle behind this final step is what the Stoics called prokopton. This word refers to the person who is making progress. The Stoics were very realistic people. They did not believe that a person could simply read a few lines of philosophy and suddenly become a perfect, unshakable sage. Instead, they viewed the mind as a muscle that needs regular, daily exercise. They believed in the concept of ascesis, which means training. Just as an athlete trains their body every day to prepare for a race, a Stoic trains their mind every day to prepare for the challenges of life. The goal is not to be perfect, but to be a little more grounded today than you were yesterday. This 7-day plan is designed to help you move from understanding these ideas to living them. It is a structured way to build your inner citadel, one brick at a time. In our modern world, this kind of gradual training is very difficult because we are addicted to the instant fix. We live in a culture of 7-minute results and instant transformations. We are told that if we just buy the right book or watch the right video, our problems will disappear forever. When we try a new habit and find it difficult on the second day, we often give up and say, "This isn't working for me." For many of us who have spent decades living with certain mental habits, the idea of a slow, 7-day process can feel frustrating. We want the peace now. But wisdom is not something you can download. It is something you must grow. The modern world encourages us to be consumers of ideas, but Stoicism asks us to be practitioners of life. Let us look at a situation to illustrate why this structured approach is so necessary. Imagine a man named David who is 65 years old. David has decided he wants to be more stoic because he finds himself constantly arguing with his brother about politics and old family grievances. On Monday, David reads some quotes and feels very peaceful. He thinks he has solved the problem. But on Tuesday, his brother calls and says something hurtful. David immediately loses his temper and yells back. Afterward, David feels like a failure. He tells himself, "I am too old to change. This Stoicism stuff is impossible." David's mistake was thinking that wisdom is a switch. You flip. He did not have a plan for the days when his willpower was low. He did not realize that the argument with his brother was not a failure, but a training session. He needed a daily routine to keep his mind sharp, so that he wouldn't have to rely on luck when the storm arrived. This is exactly what the teacher Epictetus taught his students 2,000 years ago. Epictetus knew that human nature is prone to forgetting and falling back into old habits. He taught that we must give ourselves the grace of time and the structure of practice. Epictetus wrote these beautiful and encouraging words: "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." He was reminding us that our character and our peace of mind are like fruit. You cannot force them to ripen in a single afternoon. You must water them every day with practice and wait for the natural process of growth to take place. Apply this plan when you feel discouraged by your own progress. If you find yourself overthinking or reacting too quickly, do not judge yourself. Simply return to the schedule. Apply this when you feel a sense of loneliness or a lack of purpose. This routine gives you a sense of agency over your own life. It reminds you that even if the world around you is changing, you are still the one who decides how to move through your week. Here is your 7-day Quiet Gatekeeper plan. I suggest you listen to this section several times and perhaps write these steps down on day number 1 and day number 2. Your only goal is to practice the 5-breath threshold in every conversation you have. Whether it is with a spouse, a neighbor, or a clerk at the store, you will pause. Before you answer a question or react to a comment, take those 5 slow breaths. Do not worry about being perfectly stoic. Just focus on the pause. You are building the foundation of your gate on day number 3 and day number 4. You will add the sunset review. At the end of these 2 days, sit in the quiet of the evening for 10 minutes. Identify one ghost of the past, one regret that is haunting you, and mentally hand it back to the universe. Tell yourself, I accept what happened, and I am choosing to live in today. You are clearing the ground inside your gate. On day number 5 and day number 6, you will focus on your internal wealth. Your task for these 2 days is to perform one act of kindness each day without telling a single soul about it. It could be leaving an encouraging note, making a small donation, or simply saying a prayer for someone who has hurt you. Do not look for a thank you. Do not look for recognition. This act is for your own character. It is a way of proving to yourself that your worth is built on what you give, not what you receive. Finally, on day number 7, you will practice pure observation. For this entire day, try to remove the labels of good or bad from everything that happens. If it rains, do not say, "This is bad weather." Simply say, "It is raining." If you receive a late bill, do not say, "This is a disaster." Simply say, "This is a bill that needs to be paid for 24 hours. You are a neutral observer of the world. You are the quiet gatekeeper, watching the world pass by without letting it knock you off your feet. This 7-day routine is not a magic cure. It is a beginning. If you find that one day was difficult, simply repeat, "That day, tomorrow." There is no deadline. There is no judge. There is only you, the grapes, and the figs, waiting for the time to ripen. By the end of this week, you will not be a different person, but you will be a person with a stronger citadel. You will have proven to yourself that you are capable of change. No matter what your age or your circumstances, you are not alone in this journey. Thousands of people before you have walked this path, and thousands are walking it with you right now. We are all progressors. We are all learning to find the silence between the noise. If you are ready to begin this 7-day journey of progress and leave perfection behind, please share your commitment with our community. Type the words, "I am progressing. I am progressing. I am progressing." Step number 6. The bookends of your day. The Stoic morning and evening routines. The foundational principle of this final practice is the idea that the soul should have 2 quiet moments of reflection every single day. The Stoics viewed the mind like a mirror. In the morning, before you face the world, you must clean the mirror so it can reflect reason and truth. In the evening, before you sleep, you must examine the mirror to see where it became clouded or scratched by the events of the day. This is a process of preparation and review. By claiming the first few minutes after you wake and the last few minutes before you sleep, you are ensuring that your day begins and ends in your own power. You are not just letting life happen to you. You are directing your own path with intention. In our modern world, these bookends of the day have been stolen from us. We have been conditioned to reach for our phones the very second our eyes open. Before we have even taken a full breath, we are flooding our minds with news of global disasters, emails from work, or the curated lives of others on social media. We start our day in a state of reaction rather than preparation. In the evenings, we often fall into bed exhausted, perhaps with the television still running or our minds racing with the mistakes we made during the day. We carry the stress of Tuesday into Wednesday because we never took the time to properly close the door on Tuesday. For those of us in our later years, this lack of structure can lead to a sense of drifting, where the days begin to blur together, and we feel we have lost our grip on our own time. Let us look at a situation to illustrate how a lack of routine can drain our spirit. Imagine a man named Thomas. Thomas is 72 years old and lives alone. When he wakes up, his first instinct is to turn on the television to hear the news. Within 10 minutes, he is feeling anxious about the economy and angry about politics. His breakfast is spent worrying about things he cannot change. By the time he leaves his house, his mind is already tired and defensive. In the evening, Thomas sits in his chair and replays an argument he had with his brother 3 days ago. He blames himself for being too harsh, or he feels bitter that his brother hasn't called to apologize. He goes to sleep with a heavy heart, and the cycle repeats the next morning. Thomas is a passenger in his own life. He has no quiet space where his soul can rest and regroup. This is exactly why the philosopher Seneca, who was one of the busiest men in Rome, insisted on a strict evening review. Seneca understood that we cannot become better people if we do not look honestly at our own actions. But he also believed that this review must be done with a spirit of kindness, not self-hatred. Seneca wrote these words in his book, On Anger. When the light has been removed from my sight, and my wife, who knows my habit, has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I have done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by. He was not doing this to punish himself. He was doing this to find clarity. He knew that by acknowledging his mistakes at night, he could leave them behind and wake up with a fresh mind the next morning. You can apply these routines whenever you feel that life is becoming a chaotic blur. Apply this when you are overthinking a family conflict. Use the morning routine to set your boundaries, and the evening routine to forgive yourself for any mistakes. Apply this when you are feeling lonely. These routines act as a conversation with yourself, reminding you that your own company is valuable and structured. Whether you find strength in a traditional faith or in the quiet wisdom of nature, these bookends provide the stillness your heart needs to stay resilient. Here is your practical guide for the Quiet Gatekeeper routines. Please listen. Follow the steps carefully. Step number 1. Your morning preparation. This will take only 3 minutes of your time. As soon as you wake up, stay in bed or sit in your favorite chair. Do not look at any screens. Spend these 3 minutes in total silence. Simply listen to the sound of your own breathing. Feel the life in your body. After those 3 minutes, ask yourself one specific question. What is the one thing outside of my control that I will stop trying to fix today? It might be the weather. It might be the opinion of a neighbor. Or it might be the health of a distant relative. Name that thing clearly in your mind. Tell yourself, I release my struggle with this for today. By doing this, you are saving your energy for the things you can actually change. You are setting your internal gate for the hours ahead. Step number 2. Your evening compassionate review. This should be done just before you turn out the lights to sleep. Sit for 5 minutes and look back over your day as if you were watching a movie. But here is the most important part. You must watch this movie like a kind and wise friend, not a harsh judge. Ask yourself 2 questions. First, what did I do well today? Perhaps you were patient with a slow clerk, or you took a short walk when you felt tired. Acknowledge your small victories. Second, where can I be more patient or more honest tomorrow? If you lost your temper or fell into overthinking, simply notice it. Do not berate yourself. Say to yourself, I see where I tripped, and I will try to step more carefully tomorrow. By performing this review, you are closing the files of the day. You are not carrying the weight of today into your sleep. You are forgiving yourself for being human and permitting yourself to rest deeply. This process of reviewing and releasing is what allows a Stoic to wake up every morning with a heart that is clean and ready for a new beginning. Please remember that these routines are for your benefit alone. There is no one to impress. There is no grade for how well you do them. Some days will be easier than others, and that is perfectly fine. What matters is the act of returning to yourself. By claiming these few minutes at the start and the end of your day, you are declaring that your peace is a priority. You are proving that you are the author of your own story. Even in a world that is constantly trying to write it for you, your age and your experience have given you a unique perspective that the world desperately needs. When you are grounded and peaceful, you become a light for others who are still lost in the noise. Stay dedicated to your routines. Protect your bookends. If you are ready to claim the beginning and the end of your day for your own peace, please share that commitment with us. Type the words, "My day begins and ends in peace. My day begins and ends in peace. My day begins and ends in peace." As our time together comes to a close, let us return for a moment to that quiet morning we imagined at the very beginning. Remember the feeling of that sudden, sharp word or that heavy piece of news that used to ruin your entire day. By practicing the Quiet Gatekeeper Method, those moments no longer have the power to knock you off your feet. You are like Margaret, who chose the 5-breath pause instead of the sting of hurt. You are like Robert, who learned to return his regrets to the ocean of the past. You have realized that your peace is not a gift that the world gives you, but a fortress that you build for yourself, one brick at a time. The most important lesson for you to take into your evening is this: your strength is not measured by how fast you move or how much you produce. Your strength is measured by how still you can remain in the middle of a storm. Whatever your faith may be, or whatever journey you have walked to get to this hour, please know that peace is always a choice you can make in this very moment. You are never too old to find your center. You are never too far gone to claim your dignity. To begin your transformation, I encourage you to follow the 7-day plan we discussed. Start tomorrow morning with your 3 minutes of silence and your one question. End your day with a compassionate review. Treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a dear friend who is trying their best. This small, daily commitment is how a life of quiet power is built. Before you leave us today, I invite you to make a small promise to yourself and this community. In the comments below, share one tiny thing you will do differently tomorrow. Perhaps you will commit to taking those 5 slow breaths before you answer the phone, or perhaps you will choose to let go of one old regret tonight. Sharing your commitment helps us all realize that we are not alone in this search for stability. Once you have made your commitment, please consider joining our community by subscribing and sharing this reflection with someone who might be feeling a little overwhelmed today. We learn and grow stronger through our shared resilience. Please remember this final thought as you go about your week. Peace is a choice you make in this moment. Peace is a choice you make in this moment. If you are ready to stand firm at the entrance of your mind, type these words in the comments. I am the gatekeeper of my peace. I am the gatekeeper of my peace. I am the gatekeeper of my peace. These ideas are shared for your reflection and personal growth, and they are not a substitute for professional mental health support. If you are going through something heavy, please reach out to someone you trust or a qualified professional. We respect all beliefs and paths, as Stoicism is a philosophy of character, not a religion. May you walk in dignity and find the stillness you deserve.